Hey everyone, before we start on this video, I just want to give a quick warning. So if you've stuck around for this long, you know this game is not for the faint of heart. There's some pretty heavy things going on in this game, but this one particularly caught me off guard. So I want to kind of warn you ahead of time. There's one scene, pretty early on in this video that when it started to happen, I thought I was witnessing a sexual assault of a young girl involving a giant monster. And it was the way it was framed, it showed the girl's face like in agony and as it was going on, and I was feeling like super uncomfortable with it just because it came out of nowhere. But thankfully, as the scene goes on, it becomes more apparent that it wasn't a sexual assault. Like the monster was basically stabbing her all over her body. But it's still disturbing to watch. But I just wanted to let you know exactly what it is that's going to be happening, and you're not like me and you were caught off guard and severely disturbed by it, especially if you are particularly sensitive to topics like that, which is very understandable. And like I said, it's not a sexual assault per se, but it's still very disturbing to watch. And if you would rather be safe and skip it, I'll put a time link right here for when the scene starts to when it ends. And I'll be sure to put the timestamp on screen right before the scene shows up, just in case. But aside from that, I hope you enjoy the video. Hey everyone, Equinoct here, and welcome back to Iwaihime. In the last video, we met Kanae, who is also suffering from nightmares, and she seems more familiar with the whole idea of going into dreams and like carrying over that experience into the real world. My guess is she was already a big dreamer to begin with. Like the whole idea of her being Alice in Wonderland, essentially. I think that is all her fantasy. But whatever this curse is that is affecting everyone's nightmares is kind of twisting it into something more terrible for her. But she seems to be more aware of it than the other people, and I'm really interested to see what that's about. So let's get right to it.
エリス、エリス、大丈夫？
Are we back in this horrendous game of chess or sech or whatever the fuck it's called?
よかった。腕も指も生えてきたよ。歯も目玉も生えてきた。
So, something I noticed while selecting the chapter selection on this game is that the first chapter, the first two videos I did, were called Curse Princess. And this chapter with Kanae is called Illusion Princess. So I'm wondering if there's any deep meaning to Toei being the Curse Princess, maybe, and Kanae being the Princess of Illusions. That would explain this whole dream world of hers, but maybe I'm just reading into it and it's just pretty names for chapters. Anyway.
まあ、オイラは無敵の不死身だからね。
It seems I'd lost consciousness from having my body ripped apart. So this is immediately after all that? So when she goes back to sleep and comes back to this dream, she picks up where she left off? That's even more terrifying. That's even more terrifying. Guess I shouldn't have been surprised. Anyone faint after having something that messed up happen to them. You again.
おはようモーニングですよ、エリス姫。いい夢は見られましたでちゅか。
こっちが夢だったらどんなにか良かったかね。
So while she's... but this was also reality. That hellish pain, getting my fingers and arm torn off, all of it. It was then I noticed that rowdy audience of card soldiers had completely vanished. The only ones there were me, Mr. Rabbit, and the pimple-faced bastard himself, the Sech King. What happened to the Sech match? The audience was gone, so did that mean it was over?
で、ウサギさん、勝負はどうなったわけ？
たんでちゅ大ピンチの連続だったんでちゅよ。
ああ、もういいわ。なんかおいらオチがわかったわ。
Several large pieces of various shapes were strewn across the sketch board. But they were all black. Not even one of our red pieces was to be found.
すっごく頑張ったけど全滅したわけね。ごめんよ。エリスが倒れてる間に絶対決着をつけようと思ったんだよ。オイラの指だの腕だの肌の目玉だのを引っこ抜いて潰して。
So is she still missing? Is she still missing all of her appendages, or did they grow back?
ごめんよ。本当に頑張ったんだよ。信じてよ、エリス。うわー。
If she did grow back her appendages, like, I don't think that would take away from the pain.
というわけでエリス姫、僕ちんとの約束は守ってもらいますよ。
約束ってなんだっけ。寝る前に必ず歯を磨くだっけ。この国がこいつのものになっちゃうんだよ。
そしてお前さんは僕ちんの家族に加わるのでちゅ。僕ちんはセチュでの約束はいつも守ってきましたでちゅよ。
そうだね。オイラが勝った時にもちゃんと約束を守ったね。
そうでちゅ。これまでいっぱい負けてお小遣いをあげてきましたでちゅよ。
So she gets money from him whenever she wins?
だから今度はエリス姫が約束を守る番なのでちゅよ。
Hold on, does that have something to do with the money she carries with her in her bag? Because in the real world, she carries around her she carries around all of her savings and some surviving tools in case she needs to, like, go on an adventure, how she put it, but that seems very suspicious to me. I think she's either trying to run away from something or trying to, like, go off on her own. And I don't know what the dream world has to do with that, but if he's saying he gives her money, then how does that transfer over to the real world? I don't know.
僕ちんの新しい家族に加わってみんなで幸せになるでちゅ。新しい家族をみんなも歓迎してくれるでちゅよ。
Oh boy. I wanted to tell him my mom was enough family for me, but
仕方ないな。はあ。
he'd just get in a really bad mood and throw a fit if I said no anyway. Fine, but this is just for pretend, alright? Nothing more.
家族愛は何にも勝る愛情なのでちゅ。エリス姫にもそれが分かってもらえて僕ちんは本当に嬉しいでちゅ。
へいへい。
おっと家族でないやつがいるでちゅね。
Oh?
お前さんはもうあっちへ行けでちゅよ。
Who's this?
耳はつかまないでよ。
Oh, wait, what? The Setch King pulled on Mr. Rabbit's ears, then threw him off into the distance. Well, there he went, like a home run in a baseball.
さあさあ
Home run in
こ
baseball.
れで今度こそ家族水いらずでちゅよ。 でも新しい家族になる前には必要なイニシエーションがありまっちゅ。
I already don't like where this is going. What initiation to join family?
家族ごっこはめんどくさいね。
ではではエリス
Oh god, is this gonna be like a... Is this gonna be like a forced marriage situation? Joining the kingdoms or something? I'd hate saying anything someone forced me to say. Especially since I didn't want to say I'd be a part of this pimply-faced bastard's family, even as a joke. But I lost, so I had to keep my end of the bargain. Yeah, just say it already. No, I couldn't sound embarrassed saying it. This scum was the kind... oh my god. This scum was the kind of guy who'd get off on that. I had to say it plain and simple. There, I said it. Happy now? What? But right before I could say that, the world went dark, as if someone had flipped a light switch. The sky's colors were wondrous, typical of a night in Wonderland. It wasn't black as crow feathers like it was in the other world. A dazzling silver moon shone in the heavens. Countless fairies danced rainbows across the sky. This all sounds very pleasing and pretty to look at, but I'm afraid of, something's about to happen. It would have been a magical sight if I were the only one here, that is. Oh no. When I turned around, I almost jumped when I saw his eyes and nose right in front of me. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I miss that goofy expression of his face, because when he's serious, it's somehow even worse. His usual frivolous expression was nowhere to be found. Instead, he gave me a sharp glare that sent shivers down my spine, one I'd never seen from him before. I'd always found the Such King annoying, but never once had he actually scared me. Overcome with that fear, I fell on my backside. The Such King smirked as if he found it amusing. And just like that, he was back to his usual dumb grin on his ugly, pimply face. Again, I don't think I like what he means by caring family. Nothing in this world is more sacred and wonderful than familial love. Romantic love is held up as the most... oh my god. It's actually less confusing just to say it with his accent. Romantic love is held as the most sacred love of all, but when you really think about it, is bashed on the unshakable scale known as lust. Oh no, repulsive, wouldn't you say? Okay, so he's saying, like, romantic love is based on lust, which is repulsive. Okay. Romance and the like are nothing but fancy garnishes to drape over lust. And at the end of that rampage lives divorce and destruction of familial love. Repulsive, utterly repulsive. Okay, familial love is true love that transcends the difference between men and women. The fuck does that mean? The root must be what? Ugh, gross. Does he fancy himself a philosopher or something? Whatever. Guess I'll just play along. Whatever puts him in a good mood. I'm just kind of worrying, like, what his plans are with Kanae in order to invite her in his little circle of familial love. The Sech King reached for his pumpkin trousers straight out of a picture book and slipped. Oh no! 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 Oh no! 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 Oh my god! Oh! All right. This is this could be a lot of things, but if this is really the direction we're going, I need to steel myself. I am going to charge into this. Bring it on, game. I was taken back, expecting to see the embarrassing sight of two ugly legs in underwear. But what I saw there defied all expectations.
突然で驚かせちゃいましたでちゅね。
What? He did indeed have legs, but not two of them. How many? I couldn't begin to count. There were too many. Because the Sech King's lower half was like a caterpillar the size of a human? Oh, the squelching. I couldn't take my eyes off that horrifying sight. Those countless legs constantly squirming, that pattern of venomous dark red blotches.
僕のまだら模様いかがでちゅか綺麗でちゅ
So he's a caterpillar? Which is kind of better than what I was initially expecting, if I'm being honest.
これからは驚くことはないんでちゅよ。だって家族なんでちゅからね。今度僕ちんのお城で紹介する他の家族たちもみんな綺麗な模様なんでちゅよ。
He reached for his neck as if he were taking off a sweat-drenched shirt. And then, with a wet, slithering noise, he slipped his upper body off. Whoa.
今日は暑かったから汗でびちょびちょでちゅよ。
Oh, gross. The body I thought was the Sech King himself was sloppily thrown aside. He was a giant caterpillar covered with odious red and black spots. The only thing that remained the same was that disgusting pimple face of his. I felt like I was going mad from the shock. That was why that aspect of him was actually a minor relief to me. Oh, gross! Oh, gross! That is hideous. That is hideous. His countless legs wiggled loudly as he slithered over to me. Oh, I can. When she said caterpillar, like, it's easy to imagine, you know, something cartoony like Caterpie from Pokemon. He's a cute caterpillar. But then when it actually shows us, I'm like, okay, I get it. He is not cute at all. He is. Oh, that is gnarly. Still frozen where I sat, I could only watch as he covered my body with his. No.
何するの？
僕ちんの芋虫ランドの家族に加わるのでちゅかな。
Oh no.
エリスにも家族みんなとお揃いの素敵な芋虫模様になってほしいのでちゅよ。
Give her him spot. Oh no! With a squishy noise, something came out. The giant caterpillar hanging over me had released something from his abdomen. No! Oh my god! No! Oh, are we seriously doing this? Are we seriously doing this? Cause I am severely uncomfortable. But steel yourself. All right. Oh, it was soft and squishy. God. That long object was sickening. Sickening dark red on the inside and had a tube with a sharp tip at the end, like a lance. Strings of white mucus blotched with red dangled from the tip of the nose. Oh my god. Compose. The giant caterpillar let out a strange grunt. And when it did, something filthy, like nasal discharge, tripped out of the tip. It was a colorful and repulsive reddish green concoction, not unlike blood with sticky green snot. Gross. I don't like him talking all low like that. No. The tube brushed my calf, knee, and oh god, this would be a good time to wake up. Are you still in class right now? Can Suzumu just like slap you awake or something? Because I would very much like that right now. Leaving traces of its bloody mucus on me as it did. And then the tube's sharp tip pushed tightly against my thigh. Fuck you. Ew. Oh my! Oh no! Oh god! Fucking no! No! A stabbing sound assaulted my ears. Jeez! What the fuck, game? Sorry, I gotta skip over the crying. Fuck you. So sorry, can I? The thick tube. Thick tube plunged deeper into my life. Wait, so. Is it in her? Like, did he stab her? Because just play through. The pain wasn't anything like being injected with a syringe. No, it was like having both a rusty dagger and metal pole shoved into me. No. If he's grunting, I'm skipping it. Such King was no longer speaking a human language. He let out a monstrous roar befitting his appearance as he kept thrusting his servants out. My mind was full of pain, terrifying chills, and nausea. Same. I couldn't even breathe. Before long, the Such King let out a chilling roar. And I felt a disgusting surge of heat rush into me. I took a look toward the tube's tip and discovered part of my inner thigh swelling up with a fist-sized lump. Before a long, eerie, and repulsive spots of brilliant color surfaced from within the lump. The Such King's eyes rolled back as he cackled, giving his body over to pleasure. I didn't want to imagine. No. Oh, for fuck's sake! He slowly pulled out the tube. A reddish brown goop dripped out of the hole in the lump of my inner thigh. So he stabbed her with his tail, right? Like, on her thigh, and it, like, bubbled up into a gross splotch? That's what he's doing? Like, the lump shivered in an eerie, vivid pattern. Oh my god, I'm so tongue-twisted. The lump shivered in an eerie, vivid spot pattern akin to an odious caterpillar's rose to the surface. But I hadn't reached hell's deepest depths just yet. there was no way the initiation into this monstrous caterpillar family would end so meagerly. God, what? No. No more, no more. He rolled up, fuck, and brushed around my navel with the wet tube. Ugh. He ruthlessly stabbed the tube between the skin and the... Oh, God. Like, they just have to describe it as going, like, between the skin and the fat. Okay. I'm good. With ominous grunts, he violently thrust in and out. Oh, God. I'm sorry, guys. I am just... Like, anything... I can handle horror perfectly fine. Like, blood, guts, whatever. I can take that. I may grimace a little bit, but I will still keep watching. I have no problem. But anything that involves, like, you get the idea. Another fist-sized lump swelled up on the right side of my navel, as yet another, garishly colored spot pattern rose from the lump. At this rate, my whole body truly would be covered in those disgusting caterpillar spots. There was no way he would. The tube moved toward the center of my chest and then the underside of my left breast. I was trapped in a torturous cycle. First would come the grunting, then the stabbing, then the roaring, and then... It hurt. Stop it. The Sech King let out the same chilling roar over and over again. Over time, I lost the will to scream. My left breast became a fat lump and swelled up. Pleased by his actions, the monster took interest in my right breast next. Grunting, stabbing, roaring. Grunting, stabbing, roaring. Grunting, stabbing, roaring. This isn't even fun, scary anymore. This is just, exactly, pain and repulsion. This is exactly what this scene is. The only way I could find some sort of escape from those was letting my heart freeze over. The Prince of Moonsuit wouldn't be coming to save me. Every time I regained consciousness, I found myself being rolled face up or face down. I couldn't set those disgusting... I could see those disgusting swollen lumps all over my body. Lumps? No, that wasn't right. My whole body was swelling up. By now, I was already a caterpillar monster. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Thank God. Oh, someone, please. Get all of these kids therapy or an exorcist or whatever to make them stop having these sick dreams. Poor girl, seriously. Suzumu, Nani, Kiki, hey there. Oh yay, we're all happy now. Cool. So we're just gonna pretend like that wasn't a thing and just go on to the next fun club activity or whatever? Sure, I need a break. The LCSC's classroom was a spare room near the infirmary. Though the school was was mammoth in size, even it couldn't escape the consequences of a declining national birth rate. Meaning with each year, there were more and more spare classrooms. Thus, the LCSC was using one of them as a makeshift club room. Miss Hinagata wasn't around. She was the school director, so she couldn't always be in the club room. It was common for her to have to leave to help students who got hurt in the sports clubs. The room was packed to the gills with piles of cardboard boxes of varying sizes. Inside were old sweaters, unopened gifts, well-used microwaves, TVs, and so on. The boxes were filled to the brim with such objects.
不用品って結構あるもんなんですね。
新品も結構あるよ。もったいないもったいないだね。
こいつを整頓して目録を作るのか。こりゃ骨だな。
まあぼちぼちやろうよ。2、3日で終わるもんじゃないっしょ。
All these items have been gathered to sell off at a rummage sale. After all, this was an era where it cost money just to get rid of large objects. So if the school sent out a notice to the parents asking for donations of unwanted items for the rummage sale, they'd come up in droves. And the parents indeed came in cars stuffed with unwanted items, piling them up one after the next.
これを分類して目録を作ってどうするかを決めるわけね。
あ、雛形先生。
ごめんなさいね。私ちょっと今手が離せないの。やれるとこまででいいからお願いしちゃっていい？あいよともよん。勝手に承知の助さ。
ったく、俺にはゴミの山にしか見えねえぜ。
ゴミの山も分類すれば宝の山って言うよ。頑張って分類してトレジャーしちゃおう。阪神と東北と熊本の3つの大震災で多くの教訓が得られたからね。被災地に援助物資という名のガラクタ詰め合わせを送りつけるのは単なる嫌がらせでしかないから。
そうですね。ボランティアは自己満足でなく、相手のニーズに繊細に対応する必要がありますね。
もうスズムン、その回答100点満点。
さすがはグレイトな男。確かにな。どんな強力なレアカードも整理しなきゃデッキには入れられね
じゃあ手分けしてキリキリ頑張りましょう。いいのいいの、のんびりダラダラで。こんだけ量があるんだからおしゃべりでもしながら気楽に行こう。
In actuality, we plan on spending all of the next Sunday taking care of this. But as per Club President Minobe's orders, we decided to do the work a little at a time after school each day.
これは何だろう。
え。タオル？手ぬぐいかな。ほら、こんな風にかぶってひょっとこの面でもつけりゃ。
それきっとおむつだよ。使い捨てじゃないリターナブルの。
おむつ？うわー！
でも被災地じゃ水は貴重だから使い捨ての方が便利だろうね。ほんじゃそれはバザー行きで。
はい。じゃあこっちの箱へ。
The inventory was divided into 3 categories: disaster relief, rummage sale, and garbage. Unusual items with no apparent use would also show up in time to time, so the work was pretty interesting. but there were still loads of things to sort through. It seemed our time after school would be centered around this for the time being. Just then, the door opened. Hello? But it wasn't Miss Hinagata. Yeah, this is the first time Toei's interacted with the group this chapter.
あれクロッチじゃんメール見てくれたんだ
Oh, she knows her. Koroki. Koroki? As in Korokami? I got it. However, she was staring out into space as always.
来てくれただけでも嬉しいよ今日も調子悪そうだねたまに来てくれるの調子がいい時は手伝ったりもしてくれるんだけど
Wait, but you were the one who said don't get involved with Toei, and you were already involved with Toei from club activities? What? I'm confused.
黒髪ってなんでシャチホコ部にいるんだ
さあほら雛形先生って結構気まぐれだから
She looked right into my eyes. Though she'd been staggering just a second ago, that all came to a stop. Meanwhile, I found myself staring right into her eyes too.
ああクロッチは初対面だよね紹介するよ我が部のニューホープの2人ああ同じクラスだっけかあれ今日は調子いいみたいじゃんどうしてここにタマヤの気まぐれじゃない先週唐突に連れてきてさいなかった
It was very rare to hear her say something. According to Minobe, that meant she was feeling good. Did that mean there was a chance she'd respond to me?
いや
Her face wrenched in agony the moment I called out to her. So she really wasn't feeling well after all.
大丈夫
But after I took a single step forward, Kurokame covered her face with the doll in her left hand while motioning for me to stop with her right. Sweat rose to the surface of her agonized face. So is she having like a physical reaction to Suzuhara? And I also
雛形先生を呼んでくるよ
want to know like how much she remembers. Like, does she have memory of like the last chapter where she kind of had a little stabby stab with Suzuhara in the neck?
どうして
Corruption. And with that, Kurokame turned around, still fighting back the agony. I couldn't think of anything to say to her.
おいてめえいつまでほっつき歩いてんだよ今日は先輩とカラオケ行くんだよたまには少しマシな顔でお酌くらいしてみせろよな
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see Sho alive and well again.
お前ら
Ugh.
行くぞ
Then again, maybe he's like the secret badass character we all need in this story. the underdog. But unlikely. Kamenuma wrapped his arm around Kurokame and dragged her closer, then left with his followers.
スズム、クロッチに嫌われてる？クロッチがあんなこと言うとこなんて初めて見た。気にすることないよ。黒髪さんが意味のないことを言うなんていつものことだよ。たまたま体調と機嫌が悪かっただけに違いないよ。
そうだね。
セスハラのグレイトさがわからねえとはな。いけすかない女だぜ。
おかしな男が言い名付けだしさ、気苦労も絶えないんだよ、きっと。
We worked all through the afternoon. Alright, so it looks like they're kind of skipping over the whole Suzumu asking about her fiancé, like what that situation is. Natsu had made plans with friends, so he left early on. But we just kept working and managed to make quite a dent in our workload.
僕、見延先輩に謝らなきゃいけないです。
何が？
Initially, I'd assumed that she was kind of lazy from her general demeanor. But the past few days had proven me wrong. She was always proactively carrying out the club's activities. She really was an ideal president. And she was fun to hang around to boot.
先輩のこと改めて尊敬しました。やっぱり社長コブに入ってよかったと思います。
私も最初は先輩のこと誤解してました。でも先輩はいつも暗くなるまで部室でたった一人でも仕事をしてる。
So Kanai is always working?
もう帰ってもすることとかないしね。
So does she have like a bad home life? So she wants to get out of it? Like go off on her own adventure, you would say? That's what it sounded like.
家帰っても親が勉強しろしろうるさいだけだし。
She tried laughing it off, but I wasn't fooled anymore. No, you could say that was her very essence. The same went for training. It's easy to work yourself hard until it shows on your face. But with her, she just relaxed and had fun, no matter what she did.
僕も見習わなくちゃ。
そういえばスズムンって空手をやってんだって？やってますやってます。毎日夕方には道着を着て裏庭で稽古してますよ。へえ、何それかっこいい。あ、ねえねえ、あのさ。
Minobe walked ahead of us, then turned around and spoke.
おいらもスズムンのかっこいいとこ見てみたいな。
It was a common misunderstanding, but the Suzuhara divine tribute style wasn't for fighting. Its primary goal was to sublimate a pure heart cultivated in training through martial arts, then dedicate that to God.
なのにクロッチに汚れてるとか言われちゃショックだよね。
僕の修行がまだ未熟だからだと思います。
So what could be about Suzumu that's corrupted?
先輩、麦茶入れてきました。
I wanted to be like my father and hold martial arts demonstrations at temples and shrines someday. Any corruption had to be purged before that was possible. I had to free myself from obstructive thoughts and hone my spirit. The apartment complex's backyard was my training ground. I channeled all my spirit into my fist and punched a cherry blossom tree with straw wrapped around it. I was a bit sluggish today. I really did have a long way to go if Minobe's presence was enough to dull my fist.
すごいね。よく素手で木をパンチして痛くないもんだね。砂を詰めたバケツをパンチしてることもありますよ。スズムかっこいい。おいら惚れちゃいそうだ。
It's just gonna turn into a harem. I trained to the bone until the sky turned indigo, then took a shower and had dinner. Kiko's mom always cooked our evening meals. And Suzumu is more dedicated than I ever would be at that age. Or even now, for that matter. I'll give like a tree a light tap and think, I've had enough. I took my shower and went to room 101, only to find Minobe there as well.
わあ、スズム。シャンプーの香りでめっちゃフェロモン出てる。お母さんが夕飯を一緒にどうって言ってくれたの。おいら、畳の上で家族ご飯食べるの割と憧れだったんだ。
僕も一人っ子だから賑やかなご飯はすごく楽しいです。
Alright, so... this could be like a totally innocent thing, but I have a feeling like because Kanai's there with both of them, I think maybe like they're all three of them are going to get pulled into the nightmare world. Maybe this night after dinner or something. So, oh boy.
つばきこ、配膳手伝って。はーい。
鈴間くん、テレビのリモコンを取ってもらっていいかい？
はい、どうぞ。
見延さんは野球とか見る？
あー、いや、見たことないです。
じゃあ一緒に見ようか。楽しいぞ。
はーい、お待たせだよ。
はい、先輩、どうぞ。
ありがとう。
Everyone sat together and began eating. We are still outdoors. We were having somen and tempura for dinner. Just seeing the ice cubes floating atop the soup in our glass bowls was enough to cool us down. Though it wasn't quite summer yet, the days had been hot and sweaty, so this was the perfect dish.
すごい。そうめんってこんなに美味しかったんだ。氷が入って冷えてるだけでこんなにも美味しくなるんだね。先輩の家のそうめんって違うんですか？おいらの家のは茹でたのに流水をかけただけのぬるいのが出てくるよ。すぐベタベタになってくっついて塊になっちゃって食べづらいし美味しくないし。
Yeah, can we not mention unsightly lumps around Kanai?
嫌いだったはずなのにこんなに美味しいなんて知らなかったな。
Minobe lowered her head a little sadly. But she was back to her usual cheerful smile by the time she raised her head. Afterwards, we all watched with excitement as the baseball game kept going back and forth. It was completely dark outside, but we kept on spending time like a happy family. Having been invited to take a bath, Minobe went to Kiko's apartment for a shower.
先輩、今日は私のとこにお泊まりしていくことになってるの。
Yep, there's gonna be a sleepover. I think all three of them will have a nightmare.
そうだったんだ。ヒコちゃんと先輩はやっぱり仲良しだったんだね。
うん。フレンドだよ。 じゃあ進む。おやすみ。
おやすみ。また明日。
We didn't really do anything all that special, but it had been a fun day. I basked in those memories as I soaked in the bath.
社長コブに入って本当に良かったな。キコちゃんや夏くんとも一緒だし、見延先輩は面白くて尊敬できる人だし。
And Toei. And though she may not have liked me at that moment, I hope Kurokame and I could be friends someday. Huh.
楽しいな、毎日が。
He seems to be less drawn to Kurokame. It's like she's still in his mind, but he's not like expressing the desire to like I need to find out what's up with her. It's less apparent here.
こんな生活の機会をくれた両親にも感謝しなくちゃ。
I had to reflect more carefully on how blessed I was that I could say that. Minobe had said it herself at yesterday's fundraiser.
両親に感謝できるってこと自体、幸運にたくさん恵まれてたと自覚するべきだろうね。
So yeah, maybe there is something going on with Kanae's home life. Something about her parents, maybe?
先輩と話したいな。
She was probably lying around in Kiko's room, chatting. If I were a girl, I could have joined in on their conversations, but alas.
いいさ。社長コブでこれからもおしゃべりする機会はたくさんあるさ。寝よう。
Here we go. Creepiness ahoy, I'm already calling it. Did I just hear something? Knock, knock. Huh? Knocking? Realizing that the knocking signified a visitor, I sat up, eyes still clouded with sleep. I ran over to the door and opened it, very careless in hindsight. But since I was still half asleep, I had a hard time telling if it was a dream or not. And it likely is. So when I opened the door and saw the sight of what awaited me, I was convinced I was still dreaming. I should have seen the same old scenery outside. Whoa! Yep. He's in Kanae's Wonderland. But instead, I was faced with a wondrous world, the lights of which I'd never seen before. That is a beautiful world.
起こしちゃってごめん。
Wow, look at the stars on the mushrooms. Wow. I would be so entranced by this dream if it weren't for the scene that took place the last time we were in the dream world.
見延先輩。
She wore a blue dress. Meanwhile, I realized I was in my school uniform instead of my night clothes. We were in a strange world where giant mushrooms with polka dots and star patterns upon them grew. I turned around only to discover even my place had become part of this bizarre land. It changed into a room from a cabin straight out of a fairy tale.
ああ、ごめんね。深く考えないで。
You're dreaming, just roll with it.
夢の続きだと思って。明日になったらさっぱり忘れてるから。
Yeah, so she's really got this whole dream thing, like when is she awake, when is she dreaming? She's got that down by memory. She seems to catch on to what world she's in pretty quickly.
夢の中の人にこれは夢だって言われるのは初めてです。
まあ、ここではこっちが現実で。
Oh,
なわけだけど。
that's interesting. So, if she really has like a terrible home life, then maybe her fantasy world is what she considers her real world. And it's so sad to think about. It's especially sad now that her fantasy world is getting corrupted by whatever is causing the nightmares.
難しいことは考えなくていいよ。
Minobe laughed as she went inside. Just then, a clothed rabbit walking on its hind legs followed her. It was like something from a picture book.
あなたがムーンスートの王子様。
The Prince of Moonsuit.
お会いできて光栄だよ。
The talking rabbit reached out for a handshake. Yep, this had to be a dream.
そうそう。王子様は深く考えなくていいの。夢の中だと思ってた方がきっと楽だと思うから。
王子様って僕のことですか？
そう。私はここではお姫様。不思議の国のエリス姫。
Ellis? I felt like I'd heard that name from Minobe yesterday. As I stood in blank amazement, several rabbits walked in right past me. Carrying tea sets, they all set the table one after the next.
エリス、準備ができたよ。うん、ありがとう。じゃあね。ごゆっくり。全体進め。
Tea, pancakes, and beautiful silverware lined the table. The rabbits marched out en masse once they finished setting up. They shut the door, leaving Minobe and I alone in a room rich with the fragrance of tea.
どうぞ召し上がれ。まったりしよう。
This seems very relaxing and peaceful, but it is fate. Something terrible is gonna happen. This is not gonna end well. If it does, I will eat my shoe. That is how sure I am.
ほらほら、どうせ夢なんだから考えたら負けだって。
夢の中で夢って諭されるなんてやっぱりちょっとおかしいです。
My body eased a little once I accepted what I was seeing as untrue. My senses still weren't fully in tune with it all, but I decided to accept Minobe's suggestion. I chose to sit in one of the cute fairy tale-esque chairs and have some tea. Minobe lifted the teacup, even traced the saucer with a lonely smile.
今日のさ、お夕飯のそうめん。一番驚いたのは氷が入ってたからとかじゃないんだよね。
It is pretty cool that she can retain memories between dreams and the real world and like carry them over. So, but I'm wondering like why? I'm still wondering like could she even be trusted? Could she be the mastermind? Like that would not surprise me if one of the main characters is actually the cause of the curse. But we'll see.
うちお母さんが家事とかめんどくさがるたちでさ、お皿洗いたくないからって。お皿はみんな紙皿を使うんだ。
洗わないで捨てればいいから確かに手間はかからないですね。
紙皿ってさ、紙の味が移るから嫌いなんだよね。それに料理によってはベタベタと張り付いちゃって、お箸で取ると紙皿の表面の紙が張り付いちゃうんだよ。最初の頃は律儀にその紙を剥がしてたけど、だんだんめんどくさくなってきて、そのうちちぎれた紙が張り付いたままで口に運ぶようになって、だんだん何を食べてもみんな同じ紙の味に感じるようになってきちゃってさ。だからあんな綺麗なガラスの器でお 味しいそうめんを食べたのって本当に久しぶりで、
Aww.
久しぶりで。
Oh, that's sweet. Though Minobe was smiling, there were tears in her eyes.
先輩。
嫌だった。髪が張り付いたままのおかずを食べるのに慣れてる自分が、お母さんのめんどくさがり屋なとこ嫌いなくせに、私もお母さんと変わらない。
先輩はめんどくさがり屋なんかじゃないです。
そうかな。
僕は今日まで先輩のさまざまなことを見てきました。めんどくさがり屋なんてとんでもない。先輩は誰よりも真面目にコツコツと積み上げる努力家です。もしも先輩に気の毒なことがあったとしたら、誰よりも努力家であることを褒めてもらえなかったことだと思います。
Aw. I brought my chair over to Minobe and let her rest her head on my shoulder. This was the only way I could convey my feelings. Come to think of it, I called her by her last name. That was supposed to be my way of showing her due respect, but perhaps it sounded like I viewed her as a stranger. Looking at her over my shoulder drove home just how tiny she was. She was so dainty that I probably would have thought she was younger than me if we'd met under different circumstances. After all, I've already misread her. After all, I'd already misread her by her laid-back attitude at first, hadn't I?
僕に力になれることがあったら何でも言ってください。いつでもどんな時でも必ず力になりますから。
That's what he promised to Toei in the first chapter, and that didn't end well. And now he's promising the same thing to Kanae. I'm wondering if it will have like different endings per chapter. Like maybe the first one, Toei got a bad ending. Now maybe Kanae's gonna get the next bad ending? We'll see.
いいな。その言葉だけでも。
She perched her head against my shoulder. Though she sounded happy, I could hear her sniffle. While her face was hidden and I couldn't read her mind, my heart ached for the burden she was carrying day after day.
やっぱりスズムンは王子様だね。
ここって以前話してくれた不思議の国なんですよね。ここでは見延かなえじゃなくてエリスだって言ってましたよね。
そう、不思議の国のエリス姫なんだ。
じゃあここでは僕が王子様でもいいんだ。だってここは不思議の国という向こうとは違うもう一つの現実なんだから。
本当にいいの？だって姫様と王子様がいたら恋に落ちちゃうって決まってるよ。
だってここは不思議の国じゃないですか。不思議の国でお姫様と王子様が出会ったら僕もそれが必然だと思います。
Well, that's sweet and all, but keep in mind, Suzumu thinks this is a dream, so he doesn't think, like, saying that stuff is gonna make him commit into the real world, unlike Kanai, so
オイラ
it's kinda sad.
冗談よ。
鍛えてますから平気で
あ
す。
そうじゃなくて、オイラいろいろと重たい女だからめんどくさいよ。
僕はその真逆で几帳面が過ぎる性格ですので、案外2つ混ぜたらバランスがいいかもしれないです。
本当だ。ね
She raised her head, put her hands on my shoulders, and looked deep into my eyes.
え、スズムンとはもうちょっとだけ早く会えてたらな。そうしたら一番綺麗な私で
What?
汚れたってすすけたって何も変わらないです。
Wait, is this because of the caterpillar thing?
僕だって転んだってすりむいたって僕なんです。
そうじゃなくて、大好きなスズムンに一番綺麗な私を捧げたかったな。
I feel like that could be a double entendre, but she is referring to because she got stabbed all over by that caterpillar and she's got gross lumps maybe underneath her clothes.
今が一番綺麗です。
ありがとう。
She doesn't seem to be in any pain. Her nose tickled my own. And then her lips, soft as angel's feathers, kissed my own. They really were ticklish. We soon parted our lips, and she looked up at me with upturned eyes and flushed cheeks.
一応お姉さんだし、リードしなきゃって思って。
She jerked her head away, as though concealing her embarrassment. That gesture was absolutely adorable.
ちょっと失望した。はしたない女だと思った。
思わないです。仮にそうだったとしても何も失望したりするものか。
Well, here I am, like in the last chapter I was thinking Suzumu and Kurokami were cute together, like when Kurokami wasn't, suddenly possessed with creepy feelings. But when it was just the two of them talking normally and she was asking for help, like that seemed so cute and legit. And now I'm hoping these two get together in an adorable way. But I don't know what like Suzumu falling in love with different girls means to like the story or the curse or the nightmares, or even if it has anything to do with any of that. But whatever, I'll just appreciate the cute moments while they're here.
ありのままの本当の姿を受け入れるのが王子様の役目だって思ってますから。
かっこよすぎるぞ、王子様。
Yeah, he knows he's being smooth.
本当
本当に
本当に私の本当の姿受け入れてくれる？
もちろん。
And when I nodded, the tears finally burst free from her eyes. Silver teardrops framed by her ear-to-ear grin. Oh.
したら殺すから
I'm gonna assume you mean rhetorically.
後悔なんか
But the music just suddenly cut off, so that has me thinking.
じゃあ絶対だよ絶対に受け入れてね
No.
私
Uh-oh.
大丈夫
I could see sweat gathering on her face. Something wasn't right. It was like she was resisting something. Despite that, she rose slowly from her chair. Was she not feeling well? Or maybe she'd been feeling sick for a while now. She touched her stomach. No, slightly lower. That slight sensation caused her to groan. I was about to tell her she should sit back down. But then she grabbed her skirt.
絶対に目を
Oh. Is she gonna, like, show the red splotches? Minove gave a strained smile. And then she started pulling up her skirt, pulling her skirt up little by little. Her knees were exposed, followed by her pristine thighs. However, she kept rolling up like a she kept rolling it up like a stage curtain. She even exposed her underwear. And finally, she exposed herself all the way up to her navel.
何を
She grinned again, still holding up her skirt. Of course, her face was still clammy. She then reached for the silver knife by the pancakes. Oh no. What you doing, girl?
どうしちゃったんですか
Her eyes were glazed, her cheeks flushed, and her breath sweet. I stood frozen, as though under some spell. A moment later, she took the knife and caressed her abdomen with it. The contrast between her sweaty skin and the silver knife was beautiful beyond compare. Ah! All of a sudden, the white tablecloth was painted with a red splash. Minobe had plunged the knife right into her abdomen.
何を
It should have hurt. Yet she only endured it with a strained smile, gesturing for me to stop. She dug the blade in even deeper until she finally reached something. And then I heard a ripping sound. With that, something gushed out. But it wasn't blood. Rather, it was a milky white mucus mixed with the blood. Oh. It splashed out like dollops. It splashed out in dollops. Yet she paid it no heed, even as it dripped down and stuck to her legs. Eventually, it stopped pouring out. She gripped the blade and twisted it around inside her. She cut a horizontal line across her body, as though slitting her own stomach all the way open. My heart was screaming at me to stop her. But I was merely stupefied. It would have been so much easier if I were to faint at that very moment. But all I could do was stare transfixed, as though paralyzed in a snake's gaze. She cleaved across her abdomen as though performing a C-section. Oddly enough, no more of that blood and mucus was spilling out. She opened a vast, gaping hole in her stomach. Afterwards, she checked it with her fingers and dropped the knife. It fell on the floor with a clang. But the sound failed to bring her back to her senses, and the horror before me continued. I could never have imagined this. That sound signaled the start of something even more repulsive.
これくらいでいいかな。
What is going on? She stuck her thumbs into the gaping wound. And then there was a tearing sound followed by wet noises. With a slip, like she was taking off a tight pair of pants, she stripped off her lower half.
スズメに会いたかったな。人間の道に。
Okay. Oh, ew! Once she finished removing the skin on her human legs, I was greeted with 2 rows of countless other appendages. They wiggled around on her bottom half. So she became a caterpillar? So those blotches caused her to mutate into an actual caterpillar monster? Covered in repulsive dark red spots like a caterpillar's, yes. Wow. So, did that kind of turn her evil or anything? Though she was still the same girl in a dress on the though she was still the same girl in a dress on the top. Her bottom was that of a massive, horrifying caterpillar. Oh no! What's more, a part of it was sticking out like a giant needle. Its tip shook, dripping forth what looked like blood and mucus. I froze the moment and realized it was pointed right at me. I can't... oh.
スズメのこと好きすぎて。
Oh no. So this whole family thing is contagious. When you get turned into a caterpillar, you just want to turn other people into caterpillars, is that it? The caterpillar human slithered my way and looked down as if it were about to crush me.
スズメのこと
Ah, no.
迎えたい。
She brought down the sharp protrusion closer and closer to my chest. My mind had gone blank long ago. If I were to laugh, would all this just turn out to be one big practical joke? That thought helped me force an awkward smile onto my stunned face.
先輩僕よくわからないです。
Again, it's exactly what happened with Toei in her nightmare thing. It took everything I had just to stand up and stagger away, let alone ask her that. But neither my face nor words could conceal the revulsion I felt. She must have felt hurt and angered.
だよね。こんな汚らわしい姿受け入れられないよね。でもね、私だってもう自分で自分が訳がわからないんだ。迎えたいの、家族に。スズムーンを芋虫ランドに、全身にびっしり、私と同じ毒々芋虫まだら模様。スズムーンとお揃いの毒々まだら模様したい。
I saw the tip of her tube oozing mucus tinged with a repulsive hue and let out the shrillest scream of my life. I fell on all fours and started crawling away as fast as I could. I had to get out of there. If I didn't, and that thing got me, I'd... Ha 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 ha. So this really was a bad dream. Yes, this was all a dream. Hadn't I already known that from the start?
逃げられないよ。だってここは
She's lost it.
もうスズムンは私のものなんだよ。
Minobe laughed at my sad state as I pathetically clawed at the door. She threw her head back, took a deep breath, and filled her cheeks. I screamed again when I felt long hair spray across me. No, it wasn't hair. It was like white floss. I understood. This was silk. Caterpillar silk. Minobe was shooting thin yet solid silk threads at me, trying to wrap me up like a cocoon. I couldn't break it no matter how much I struggled. I felt my body being constricted by the silk as I tried to resist.
怯えなくていいよ、スズムン。まあでも無理な話だよね。
先輩は何がしたいんですか？
スズムンにブルブルビクビクうずいて綺麗な特服模様が浮き出すスズムンの全身にくまなく全部にスズムンの綺麗なところにもないところにも難しいところにも全部
つくしを刺されたら
結構痛いからね。
Then why do you want to do it? Is it just like an unnatural craving for caterpillars?
でも下手に抵抗するとその方がかえって痛いよ。おとなしく
That
し
is
てた
that is so terrible.
でもね、進む。私は誰が家族でもいいわけじゃないの。そういうクズもいるだろうとは思うよ。家族が増やせれば誰でもいいっていうクズも。でも私はこれがとても神聖なちぎりにきっと違いないと思ってるから。大好きなスズムン以外の誰も考えなかったんだよ。
Taken at face value, her words were a beautiful confession of love that one should be beyond honored to receive. But who could believe a declaration like that when it was coming from a giant caterpillar binding you with silk?
スズムのこと初めて見た時から胸の中がついてた。私は一目惚れなんて少女漫画の中のことだけだと思ってたけれどあるんだね、本当に。君を見て私はずっとずっと恋に胸が苦しい夜を過ごしたんだよ。
僕を一目惚れしてくれたのはすごく嬉しいです。僕も先輩と話していて楽しかったし、一緒に過ごしてもっと一緒にいたいと思ったりもしました。でもだからこそ相手の嫌がることなんてできないんじゃないですか。
情ってやっぱりけだものに通じるから重欲って言うんだろうね。大好きなスズムンだからこそ、スズムンの嫌がることなんてしたくないって気持ちもちろんあるよ。
じゃあ
でもね、そんなの関係なく
Ooh.
大好きなスズムンを無理やり毒々芋虫にしてやりたいって。
That's even scarier when you realize that is not something you would actually want, but then, like, that unnatural craving is inside of you, and, realizing it, but it doesn't look like she has any intention on stopping.
そういう気持ちも抑えられないくらいに湧いてくるの。変だよね。変だと思う。全身に管を突き立てられて、中にブリブリと気持ち悪いコブを作られるのって、それが分かってるはずなのに、それでもなおスズムンの全身を私の汚らしいドロドロの管でブリブリとスズムンの全身を犯し尽くしたい。
Yep, she lost it. Just when I thought I was finally getting through to her, her eyes glazed over, making it perfectly clear a sane conversation was far beyond her grasp. Just as she said, she was being controlled by cardinal instinct and was completely lacking in reason. Humans were far from perfect. They all had desires that they were powerless to stop. Hunger, thirst, and lust for starters. There was no way Minobe could be reasoned with when enslaved by such emotions. All she wanted was one thing: to stab me with that tube all over and desecrate my body with those ghastly caterpillar spots.
スズムンのことが大好きだから、無理やりだけど無理やりじゃないの。スズムンの覚悟が終わるまで。
She caressed my face with the bewitching smile, then stroked my body from head to toe with that slimy protrusion. All of a sudden, everything shook with a rumble. The teaspoons rang on the table. Ah, that's cool! I love that they added the silk to the scenery. That's awesome. Minobe's face froze, and she looked around in confusion. There it was again, another rumble. It was stronger than the last one. Some dust fell from the ceiling. Minobe's face darkened.
何事ですか？
Is it the blob boy? Did he return? Minobe pressed a finger to my lips and slithered to the door. She opened the door and went outside. That was the perfect chance to escape. But I couldn't break free of the silk no matter how hard I tried. However, I could still roll in it. I had to hide somewhere until Minobe came to her senses. I rolled and crawled like a caterpillar myself, aiming for the door. When there were several loud thumps followed by the ground shaking. I could tell whatever was causing the shaking wasn't a natural phenomenon. I need to sneeze. Excuse me. It was the sound of a new terror far beyond the lights of Minobe. Those tremors felt like a giant's footsteps. Just when I was a hair's breadth away from the exit, Minobe came back. She lifted me up and tossed me on the floor.
ごめんね、スズム。少しおとなしくしてて。あんな化け物。どこから。
Monster. So I'm guessing it's the blob. Her face was stricken with worry. Minobe was more than enough of a monster herself at that point, yet here she was calling something else a monster. I couldn't doubt it any longer. These tremors were the sound of a massive creature stomping around. Minobe locked the door, but it wouldn't do any good against something that's so gargantuan. She threw her head back, took another deep breath, and started spewing silk threads once again. She used it to block the door like a spider web. Ugh. But that wasn't enough for her. She started creeping around the whole room. Before long, the whole room was covered in silk. As she did, the monster outside finally reached the door. The entire room shook with a shockwave unlike any before. But Minobe's threads were sturdy. The door didn't break, no matter how much the room rumbled, or how much dust fell from the ceiling. Minobe repeated that like a mantra as she kept circling the room, covering it with even more silk. Wow, that is good silk work. That is good silk art. Yeah, it's creepy. Eventually, all I could see was silk. It was like a blizzard had passed through the room. But Minobe just kept on going. She continued circling around until she eventually started creeping across the walls and ceiling. Everything turned into a pure white womb made of silk. Just then, the fiercest tremors yet struck, knocking Minobe off the ceiling. And then I saw it. The sky, no, the ceiling being torn and wrenched open by massive black claws. Excuse me, black claws. So what is this? The ceiling... hiccups. The ceiling was torn off. Splinters fell everywhere. With that, a gaping wide hole to the sky was revealed. Whoa! You are not the Blob Boy. You are something different. A giant... oh, is this the shadow of the woman with the horn branches? Yeah, this is a woman? A giant shadow stood against the purple sky looking down on us. That monster was as big as a skyscraper. Holy shit, that's awesome! Disheveled black hair hung from its head like a willow tree, framed by its two bent branches. Its razor-sharp claws lunged for me. Minobe knocked me aside and charged at the giant black arms. I won't let you have Suzuhara, he's mine. Though she was a giant caterpillar, Minobe was still the same size as a human. She wasn't even as tall as the monster's fist. It was clear who was at the disadvantage here. Whoa! That is terrifying! The monster let out an earth-shattering howl and a moan. Minobe must have stabbed it with her tube. But all that did was anger the giant. It swiftly grabbed Minobe and wrapped its gargantuan hands around her. The monster carried her up into the sky as though she was just a doll. I could hear Minobe's voice high in the pitch-black sky. Oh, shit! Before long, agony started seeping into her cries. Oh. All of a sudden, her shouts vanished right at the sound of a branch snapping right as the sound of a branch snapping rang out. Wow. And with that, something came dripping down from up above. They were crushed entrails, followed by Minobe's arms, torso, and head. It crashed right into the floor and rolled toward me. And though she'd been reduced to solely a head, Minobe was still conscious. Fucked up. A single tear leaked from Minobe's eye, and with that, her life came to an end. I don't know whether to be saddened by that or relieved. Suddenly, a thumb as thick as a log came down and squished her head flat like a quail egg. The giant hand picked me up next, taking me up to the sky. I felt like I was going up the, oh my god. I felt like I was going up the first hill of a particularly tall roller coaster. Though I was scared out of my mind, I couldn't help but laugh my heart out. And when I reached the top of the sky, I saw the moon. The last moon I'd ever seen. The last sight I ever saw in Wonderland. Wow. So far, I think Wonderland has been the most fucked up nightmare. I woke up to find myself sweaty and staring at the ceiling, my body contorted in an odd position. I felt like I just had the worst nightmare of my life, one that defied any explanation. The details had been so clear just moments earlier, but with every blink and wipe of my forehead, they faded further and further away. I took another look at the ceiling. It was the same wooden ceiling I'd recently gotten used to. I got the impression that I couldn't calm down unless I made sure of that. Oh, but if Kanae died in Wonderland just now, is she dead now over at Kiko's? Minobe had said dreams could be another reality, didn't she? What I felt was dissonance. What I felt was dissonance from dissonance. What I felt was dissonance from that reality not connecting to this one. But something like that couldn't possibly exist. That was a dream, and this was reality. I took a deep breath to calm down. I must have had that bizarre dream because I was conscious of the fact Minobe was sleeping over next door. That had to be it. The dream I'd only just been having. Minobe's arms, torso, and head all crushed and ripped to pieces. The dream connected to reality. Whoa! The moonlight seeped into my room, revealing liberal splashes of blood painted all over. Scattered chunks of meat littered around. Wait, so is this still the dream, or is it the real world and, like, something happened in this world while he was sleeping? Among them included squashed arms, a severed torso, and just like in that dream, Minobe's crushed head lying right next to my pillow. Is that actually her? He could still be in the dream world, but... I screamed at the top of my lungs and burst out of my room. I couldn't resist the fear engraved in my cells. Shouting at me to flee from the scene of her death. Oh, so he is outdoors, so this is real. It was only when I got outside I realized I had to call for help. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. Though I was panicking, another part of me was calmly assessed that I would be the prime suspect here. I don't know what happened. I had nothing to do with it. I couldn't have killed her. After all, Minobe was in Kiko's room. There was no way she could be in mine. Then how was I so sure that mutilated corpse strewn across my room was Minobe's? It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It couldn't be. I mean, there wasn't even a drop of blood in my hands. But all of that could wait. I had to call the police. I pounded on the door to apartment 201. My phone was in my room, but I'd be damned if I went back there. But perhaps because I'd been hitting it too hard. The door fell off its hinges. Uh-oh. Kiko? Just as I began worrying I'd broken it, the door fell into pitch black darkness. Wait. What? I didn't have any idea how, but there it was. Apartment 201 was a black space with nothing inside it. What? A black space with nothing inside it. There was no sound of the door hitting the ground. It was simply swallowed into the bottomless darkness and faded without a noise. Alright, so he's probably still dreaming. Almost like they'd only built the apartment complex halls and forgotten to build Kiko's apartment. It was only then I noticed what was wrong with the world. I was outside on the second floor of the complex. The complex doors, windows, walls, floor, and rails were all there. All of them were normal. All of them were there. But everything else was gone. The roads, telephone lines, streetlights, houses lining the streets all vanished without a trace. Everything apart from this apartment complex had been painted over with pure darkness. Only the dim shine of the fluorescent lamps illuminated the world. I believed that I'd returned from the world of nightmares to the real world. Wait, the real world? Just then I heard footsteps approaching. Someone was heading up the staircase to this floor. That someone was the shadow of a dark girl. A shadow so dark, not even the faint lamp could illuminate it. A moment later, a recognition came to me. That bizarre figure with long black hair and withered branches jutting out of their head had looked down on me in that nightmare world. Oh, suddenly, something stuck out of it from within the shadow. It was a small Japanese doll that I'd seen somewhere before. Pale arms were holding it out from within the shadow. And with a plop, the doll's tiny head fell off. Its arms and torsos broke apart and followed suit, scattering at the shadow's feet. What in the world? With that, the pale hand stuck out even further, and a girl emerged from the shadow. I didn't mean that she was the one projecting the shadow. I meant she literally walked out from within it. I knew her. She stepped toward me, trampling over the scattered doll, and spread her hands out as if to embrace me. So this is creepy, possessive Toei, but she's going after Suzuhara, but I don't know. Both Kurokame and the female shadow spread their arms and engulfed me. Oh, I guess chapter end. Woo, yay, another one down. Fun. What the fuck? I don't know anything Jeez, that was a rough episode. I'm. Alright, let me try to think about this for a second. Toei is definitely involved with this giant shadow monster with the branches for horns. I don't think that is Toei, but I think that is an entity that is connected to Toei. It may have something to do with the curse, the dreams. Oh, and this girl, Riria Nonukawa. I guess she will be in the next chapter. So, does it play this ending sequence at the end of every chapter, too? Maybe I can actually piece some things together. Ah, yes, I remember being confused about who you were when I first saw that picture. Yes, this is the awesome monster. And so it looks like Toei is a shrine maiden. And then they end up kissing, which, again, spoilers, but... so, I guess Suzumu and Toei are the endgame? But who cares about ships right now? Like, what is happening that is causing these kids harm in their dreams? And that will do it for this episode. Yep. That certainly did happen. Wonderland indeed, am I right? That was disturbing. But still very interesting. I'm still lost at what the overall story of this game is, but I pieced it together. It has something to do with dreams and a curse and a ritual. Toei is deeply involved with it. Her family too, probably. And it's affecting kids in her class, which also begs to reason why they don't just homeschool her to begin with. Like, I don't get... But whatever. So... first, Suzumu was with Toei in that dream world. Toei, like, showed feelings for Suzumu, and then, like, it just went horribly wrong. Toei ended up dying, and Suzumu woke up with the world on fire. And now in this one, Kanae's the one who developed feelings for him. And then things went horribly wrong yet again. And this time, I still don't know if it ended... It seemed like it ended on the dream world. So maybe they both ended up dying in that world, so they died in real life. And as for that shadow, that really awesome looking shadow thing, that definitely has something to do with Toei. Either that, like, Toei is the living vessel of it, or something to hold that shadow back. I'm still so lost, but so very intrigued. This game has done a great job with, like, just shocking me to the core, and I don't shock easily when it comes to horror things usually. Like, I always thought I had, like, a pretty high tolerance for, like, blood and gore and stuff like that. But when you add like more sexual themes, like, I think that's more grating to me for some reason. Especially if it's like what they did with Kanae and they just showed her in agony during it. Like, well played, game. You've severely unnerved me. But with that, after this video, I'm going back to Boyfriend Dungeon and completing that, which I was just expecting to play this game until Halloween was over and then go back to Boyfriend Dungeon, but it's caught my attention from start to finish, and I kind of want to continue this. I just don't know when. I got, like, my schedule set up already, but yeah, if you guys want to let me know if you really want to see more of this, I'll be happy to move it up the list. So, in the meantime, thank you everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I will catch you in the next video, and have a safe and happy Halloween. Later!